That interview was easy and I got a job offer after just 2 rounds of interview. It took me only 2 hours to get a job offer. That interview was so difficult. I went through 6 rounds and I failed it miserably. Every single one of us goes through different types of interview and gets different experiences. Sharon, who's American Italian, who went through, I believe, 4 rounds of interview, got a job offer and says it wasn't very difficult. You know what? Everyone gets different experience. So let's interview Sharon, our American Italian, who had doubts that she will ever get a job as the QA engineer because she thought it was only for men. I'm not sure why, but let's actually ask her. And by the way, guys, don't forget to give me a big fat thumb up, subscribe to the channel below, because we are almost at the 100,000 subscribers point. We only need 94,100 subscribers and we'll get 100,000. Hey Sharon, good to see you.
Hi, Sergi. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
That's right.
Alrighty, you are not first, but probably first American Italian student who is living in Vegas right now and working for the company from, where's the company from?
It's from Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, LA. Woohoo, let's go. But before we get into the job and your company, could you please tell us about yourself, who you are, where you come from, how did you find us, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, so my name is Sharon. I was born and raised in Italy, moved to LA 10 years ago and got a business degree. That didn't work out. It was short-lived. So I got into QA and I found you guys through my boyfriend, Anton. So he was in the first course. And after seeing how successful he became in this career, one day I just looked at him and I was like, hey, how about I do QA? And he looked at me like, are you crazy? But it worked out for me. I have to say it was one of the best decisions I could make for myself. I really like the industry and where I work right now. So yeah, that's how I found you guys.
Yay, that's good. Good to hear that. Awesome. How long did it take you to actually make a decision to study? Because you've seen your boyfriend or fiance at that time. You're like, okay, this guy got the job. You know, he took the course. He got the job. He makes good money. He lives a life. Why don't I do that? How long did it take you to decide after you first thought about our school?
You know, it took me a second just because I kept rethinking it. You know, I saw that it was primarily like all the people I knew who were QAs were male, just maybe a few girls. And I always thought, no, tech is not for me. I will never be able to do that. And obviously I was looking at the code Anton was working with and I wasn't understanding it. And I was just kind of like putting myself down and was like, no, I will never be able to do that. And then one day I thought, if all these people can do it, why can't I do it? I've done harder things. So that's what really was my motivator. And once that mindset kind of kicked in, it was really fast. I called you like the minute after I had the thought and I was like, hey, guess who's going to be our next student?
That was so hilarious. I remember that day. Guess who's going to be our next student?
You're like, ooh.
Oh, so you guys are our first couple that is fully QA'd, if we could say it that way.
Yeah, we are. We actually are.
Awesome. So we're going to record a video about you guys later on, and we're going to hear your thoughts as the QA family, because you guys are first literally QA family of Codemify.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
That's awesome. Alrighty. Well, then let's hit the next question. So you found us. You went through the course. Was it challenging during the course? Can you describe the education process and how did you enjoy it?
Yeah, so I actually really like the structure that the course has as far as the video goes, just because I love to go back and revisit certain concepts. Automation was a bit challenging for me just because I was not able to focus 100% on it. That's why I primarily focus on manual, and my jobs have been manual QA so far. And eventually I like to get into automation, but the course provided me with a lot of helpful material and insights on how to best perform during interviews, as well as, through my job.
Yep. Perfect, perfect. Cool. In this case, you went through the course and then you starting the job search. That's what most people are interested about because everyone wants to get the job and wants to make money.
Of course, you put the work in, so you need a reward.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. After 5 months of education. So how did the interviewing process go? Actually, not an interview process, but how did the job search process go before you actually got an offer?
So I really focused on my resume. Was looking around, and Anton did help me with that, just kind of like structuring my resume. Sometimes two sets of eyes is better than one. And then I created a cover letter that was generic, but it was changeable enough to mold it for each individual company. So those were the two things I really focused on. And then I created an Excel spreadsheet for myself, and I was writing down every company I applied for, which date I applied, and which platform, because I was using LinkedIn and Indeed. And I have to say, getting a LinkedIn premium profile really helped me because I was reaching out to recruiters that were in tech and that could potentially help me. So that helped me get some calls and get that process going. And, then after that, I applied to almost 200 companies. So that kind of gave me a tracking record of how many companies I applied for.
Yep. That's great. That's great. It's a really good idea to keep the track of how many applications you already sent or how many jobs you applied for, especially when did you apply, what position did you apply for, so you could have the analytics and reporting afterwards. You could analyze, okay, the companies that liked me the most are the companies in this sphere, not in the medical sphere. Maybe because I used to be an accountant and they saw it, and kind of the financial firms preferred me versus someone else from a medical sphere.
Yeah.
Yep, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, it sounds like we're getting into the main point of our interview, and it's actual interview process of you getting a job. Can you describe the process first, and then I'm going to go through interview questions that you had, and how did you answer those?
Yeah, for sure. So the process is started with an initial recruiter from the company I work at right now calling me and just kind of seeing if I would be a good fit and if what they were offering matched what I was looking for. And to be honest, at first I was kind of like, I don't know about this. It didn't sound as appealing as some other things that I had on the plate at that moment. But as we move forward with the interview process, I really realized the value in this company, and it really attracted me to, as a future position, because I knew there was room to grow. So it was initial call with the initial recruiter, and then it went to the company's main recruiter for that position. And then from there, I had an interview with my manager, actually the QA manager. And then I met with a QA team member that I currently work with. And then I met with the director of engineering as my last interview.
Nice. So you had 4 rounds of interview, right?
Yes.
Great. So how did the first one go? The very beginning and probably the easiest one, right?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. She kind of just laid out what the company was looking for, what they were working towards, and salary expectations is always like the main question when they call you at first. So I suggest you keep a wide range there. Like, obviously make sure you get what you want, but also don't exclude a position or a potential position just because it's a little less than what you had anticipated, because the benefits might be a lot greater in the long run than just the compensation package.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good one. Because a lot of people are only looking at the base salary, and that's pretty much it. Cool. So can you give us an example of the questions that you got from the recruiter during the first call?
Yeah, so it was primarily based on salary, I have to say. So she kind of asked me, hey, what have you been working on? What sector? So I kind of gave her a rundown of that. And then she straight went to salary. So what are your salary expectations? How much you want to get paid? So with that, I answered, hey, this is my range. I have a range between 100 and 120, but it's not a solid number. I want to see the overall compensation package. I want to see what you guys offer, your benefits, your medical benefits, and everything. I want to know if there are bonuses, if I will be, promoted to a new title eventually. So those were my answers and my questions for her, which she was very straightforward and said, hey, I don't think we can meet your requirements as far as compensation. We'll try our best. However, we do have an extensive career ladder that you can grow within our company. And we do offer really great benefits as far as medical and then, unlimited PTO and all that.
Yeah.
So that's what I got from her.
Nice. That's cool. So she've asked about the benefit, about the salary expectations. Anything else, such as details about your career, details about your current job and the past jobs, or not really?
Not really. She just kind of asked me, what were you doing at your past job? What company were you working for? What was their primary focus? And that was about it. It was more about like personality. My company is focused on hiring people that fit their culture. So it was more about that rather than skill set, because she's like, I see your resume. I'm not going to ask you things from what you wrote. So tell me a little bit more about yourself. And that was really what got me through the next interview.
Got it. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about the next interview then.
So the next interview was with my QA manager. It was more of technical questions. However, it was also him looking at my resume and say, hey, what did you do in this first company you worked at? And what was the company about? And what did you do in the second company? And then it was also focused primarily on the last company I worked before joining this one, just because their flow of things was very similar to the flow of how the product looks at this company. So we were going through a lot of those questions, technical questions, but it was very like tip of iceberg. It wasn't intense as I anticipated.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. So it was mostly about your previous job experience,
Yes,
right?
correct. Yes.
Got it. Can you give us a couple of examples of the questions you got?
I don't remember top of my head for this interview. However, it was a lot of like how you write a test case and what are components of a test case? What's the difference between a test case and a bug report? And what does your daily task look like? What does your day look like on a daily? So what I answer was, I wake up, I get my coffee and I sit, look at my emails. I look at the board. I was using Jira before. Now we use Shortcut. So I was like, hey, I was looking at Jira just to see if anything was sent to QA. And then I look on Slack to see what's going on in the different channels and kind of go through meetings. We have stand-ups. So I kind of run him through my day and what I do and how I handle tasks. And then some of the last questions were about like almost behavioral. How do you interact with your team, who you work with, how many developers, how many other QAs, how do you initiate something if something doesn't work well, how do you tell developers, hey, this wasn't actually fixed. So it was a lot of those questions. Again, they were looking for somebody who would be able to merge into their team more on a personal level than skills. So I think that's why it was focused more on those kind of questions.
Yep. That makes sense. With your personality, you can fit pretty much most of the companies.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So that was the second round interview with the QA manager, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. How about the third one? Who was it with?
So the third one was with one of my now coworkers, who's a QA engineer. He does automation and manual. So if this one was actually more fun, I should say, and interesting, because he did ask me a lot of more technical questions and a lot of some unexpected questions. So I went through my interview process around the time that it was Christmas here in the US. So he asked me, how do you test Christmas lights? And that kind of caught me off guard. I can't lie about that. I was like, how you test Christmas lights? So always kind of have an answer for those pop-up questions, how you test a toaster, how you test an email. I know in the course, we did go through how you test an email, but the Christmas lights were a big of, a surprise for me. So I kind of did my best to answer that. We had some laughs in the middle, and he was kind of more wanting to understand how I work and how I handle tasks and how I report bugs when I find them, how I communicate with my team. And I see why those questions were asked now that I work there, because it really makes sense to find somebody who best fits that ideal, person and position.
Yeah, for sure. In my honest opinion, as I've been working as a QA manager for quite a few years, the first thing I'm always looking for, first thing is the personality, is the right personality, right cultural fit.
Yes, 100%. And I see companies now that are fully remote going and looking more for that. And that's why, if I can give my best advice would be yourself, let your personality shine through, just because you have to work with these people all the time. And if you establish a good relationship and a good first impression the first time, it really does take you a long way.
Yeah, that makes sense. One quick question before we get to the fourth round. Do you guys have assholes in your company?
No, we actually don't. So it's funny because when I was doing my one-on-ones, when I first joined, I had to meet teams one-on-one. And this guy told me, hey, I've been here for a year and a half and everybody has been so nice, especially, when I started, it was a surprise for me. He's like, I'm still waiting for that one person that's going to be rude to me. And a year and a half in, I haven't found it. And I have to say, my company, I got really lucky and I'm very blessed with the company I'm in, just because everybody is so nice. Everybody praises one another. When you do even the smallest task, they thank you for it a million times. And I always feel appreciated. Even when I just help my coworker look into something, he will go into the main channel and be like, Sharon plus for helping me look into this. I'm like, I really didn't do anything, so that's actually really nice to have. And communication, real good communication is key also. And being able to break the ice here and there,
Yeah.
that helps.
That's for sure. Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, and by the way, our next QA course starts in just 3 weeks. So navigate to Codemify.com to get more information about it.
All right, well, let's get into the fourth round of an interview.
Yes, so the fourth round was the easiest for me. It was behavioral questions. So based on my personality, that just comes very easy for me to answer. So that was with the engineering director of engineering in our company. Very chill guy, really amazing guy. He asked me really a lot of behavioral questions just to see, even managerial questions, I have to say, were asked. Because they do believe in hiring people that are going to stay with them for a long time. So I appreciated that. And that interview went very smoothly. We started off with talking about our dogs. So if you can find like a common conversation topic, that's great, just because it kind of eases in the interview and it doesn't feel as cold or as structured. So it was really nice to start talking about our dogs and what they like to do and where we live, and then just kind of merge into the interview. And like I said, those questions are pretty much, if you were to Google behavioral questions, a lot of them were very similar to what Google's gonna give you. And I answer with my honest opinion of, and just background of what I have done previously in my jobs. And that was went really smooth, and it was very easy for me to go through that one.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's amazing. Anything else they did? Any other specific questions they did ask you? Something interesting that you could remember?
Not really. It was very straightforward for the position. Like I said, the only one that stuck out was the one that how you test the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
But everything else was, as a manual QA, what do you do every day? How do you report bugs? How you make sure, what's the number one thing that a QA should have? And obviously that's pretty straightforward: attention to detail and communication. If you have those two skills, it really does take you a long way. And also, getting into the job, you have to make sure that whatever you said during your interview, that you can stand by that. So, that's also something. If you sometimes miss something, don't say, oh, I'm great with paying attention to details. And then when you start working, you're not. So, just be yourself, really. Just that will take you really far. They can tell.
Yeah, that's for sure. Great. Well, let's get you a couple more questions before we let you go. So if you would start again right now, if you would go back to school, is there anything you would do differently?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I would focus more on automation. That it's a regret of mine that I wish I, didn't let go so fast. So definitely do that. I have to say that when you're looking for a job, having automation experience is huge, especially when you're applying for jobs for QA, because it gives you a higher title, of course, and it gives you more leverage. So, I think that sticking to automation and understanding and making sure I put my time in that, even regardless of whatever I had going on in my personal life, I should have done that. That's definitely a regret of mine that I would change. But as far as how my career has gone and where I am now, I really wouldn't change much. This company is really amazing. I'm very happy to be working here. And, it's just, I'm going to learn automation on the job, I guess.
Nice. Yep. You can always learn that at your work. That's actually also awesome. Well, let me see. What else did we want to ask you? So we went through your entire career. We went through the question of what would you change? And the last one, where do you think you will be in 2 years?
Let me see. I've thought about that. So at first my answer would have been project manager position. Now I have to say I might see myself being, automation engineer and do that full time. I've been exposed to code a little more in this position, and I'm really liking it. They use Cypress right now. So my next step in the company, as per my manager, is to learn automation. So I've been shadowing a coworker of mine, and I have to say, I'm really enjoying that. So I really do think that in 2 years from now, I'm going to do automation full time and just focus on that.
Let's go. That's the way.
Yes.
It's never too late, especially just 2 years or 3 years after you started.
Yeah, that's definitely. And, I love the fact that my company is very supportive and that they do give me the tools that I need to learn Cypress and just how everything works at this company, and also giving me the time to learn that while working and shadowing my coworkers. And I have really unlimited resources. I can ask the SDET on my company, hey, can you show me this? I can ask the dev. So they're really good. Everybody's friendly. So that really makes it a lot easier. So if automation is not for you right now, don't lose hope.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining, Sharon. It was amazing to hear your story and how did you go through an interview and got your whatever number of the job you got. I
you.
hope we're going to have you on another interview in several weeks with Anton, as you guys are our first QA family.
Yay. Yes, hopefully in a few weeks.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Sergi. Have a good one. See you soon.
Whoa, that was quite amazing. I'm pretty sure you guys have learned a lot from Sharon, and if you do have any questions to her, feel free to find her on Instagram. I'm going to add the link right below the description of this video. And as always, if you guys want to help me to get 100,000 subscribers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that big fat thumb up button below. I'll see you on the next video.